Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today they have released Snapshot 24w45a and it brings some small changes to the winter drop, but this is mainly focusing on changes to how mobs pick up items. The first change here is that if you was to smith a piece of armor using the resin, in older versions you would use resin clumps. You can now see this doesn't work. It now uses resin bricks instead, but it seems like this doesn't work either. So it seems like this feature is not in yet, but it should use these items instead. And that is weird how they can be entered in, but it doesn't do anything. And these cannot be entered in, but this should work in future snapshots. Another change comes with the eye blossoms, as they've made some changes to how bees interact with these. Now, bees will not be poisoned by the clothes variant, but once again, that doesn't seem like the case. They are still poisoned upon touching both of these. So the changes say bees don't interact with closed eye blossoms at all. Bees don't get poisoned when they touched closed eye blossoms, but that doesn't seem to be the case because when I put it on the closed, it does still take damage. And it says they're not tempted by these flowers anymore, and you can see that they are not tempted by the closed, but they are still tempted by the open ones. So it seems like some things in the snapshot are mentioned in the patch notes, but they're not actually implemented. So it seems like this only applies to closed versions. The open versions don't seem like they've got any changes to them. So I can still tempt them with the open version, as you can see. And they still can't be breeded with these though. It still does poison them, and I cannot click the closed version on them at all. So they've made a change to the creaking as well in this update, and it's only one minor change. The change here is if a survival mode or adventure mode player is looking at the creaking, it will now completely stop, and they are now fully knockback resistance when in this state. So apparently you can't knock them back in any way, which is, I guess, good because it's meant to symbolize that they're rooted into the ground. They've also made another change to wolves and cats, and this is that if you breed them together, so let's quickly just grab some cooked food so I can breed them. So if I had two animals that were tamed, and I was to dye the collars, so one can be red and one can be yellow, if these wolves were now to breed, the baby wolf that these produce will now have a mixed collar of both. So it will mix the red and the yellow together, and you can see that is exactly what it does to make orange. So it will now try and mix both of them together to make the baby have a mixed collar. This does also work the same with cats. They've also changed some suspicious dew effect durations to better match Bedrock Edition. The saturation will now last for 0.35 seconds, and this is unchanged. The night vision now lasts for 5 seconds, which is unchanged. Fire resistant lasts for 3 seconds. Blindness lasts for 11 seconds. Weakness lasts for 7 seconds. Regen lasts for 7 seconds. Jump boost lasts for 5 seconds. Wither effect lasts for 7 seconds, and poison lasts for 11 seconds. Once again, these are made just so they're in line with Bedrock Edition. And this only works from the suspicious stew. So when you eat these, you can see they now last for some different times. Now, Minecraft have also made some changes to mobs that can pick up items. So things like zombies, when they pick up armor or swords, they have made some changes to what equipment they will pick up. And this we can see here. If the item belongs in the armor slot, they will only replace the item if the following conditions apply. And the new item that is on the ground has a higher base armor value. So for example, if they had a iron chest piece on and there was a diamond one on the floor, they would pick up the diamond because it's higher than iron. And this is also the same if they have a higher armor toughness value. They will also pick up an item if the one on the ground has more enchantments. They will also pick it up if it's less damaged, and they will also pick it up if it has a custom name, but the one they are wearing doesn't. So this means that you can now prioritize them switching armors just by naming it if they don't have a named chest piece on. And this works for any armor slot, so helmet, chest piece, boots, and leggings. Now, there is also some changes to main hand items that they will prefer. So once again, if the item belongs in the main hand slot, they will only replace the item if the following conditions apply. And this is the new item is preferred weapon. Now, they have also added a load of tags for preferred weapons for certain mobs. For example, all skeleton variants will prefer a bow over any other weapon. Drowns will prefer a trident over any other weapon. Now, if the old item is a preferred weapon while a new one isn't, so if, for example, a drown was holding a trident and a new item on the ground was a diamond sword, they will keep the trident or the preferred weapon. Now, they will also prefer the new item on the ground if it has a higher base damage value. So, for example, once again, they would rather a diamond sword over an iron sword. The new item has more enchantments, so if they have a sword with only sharpness, but a sword on the ground had sharpness, unbreaking, mending, they'd much rather pick that up. Once again, if it's less damaged, and also if it has a custom name. So it seems like they are just making it easier to understand what mobs will pick up what items. Now they have also once again added some preferred weapons for each of them. So I've now opened up all the tags and you can see the drown preferred is just a trident. Then we have skeleton preferred, which is just a bow. We then also have pigling preferred, which is just a crossbow. And then we have pillager preferred, which is once again a crossbow. You can add to these tags, so if you want piglings to also maybe prefer a gold sword, that is something you can do with data packs. Now alongside these changes, I've now jumped to the patch notes because there are a lot of technical changes in this version. A lot of them I don't really understand. But if we jump down to the resource packs or data pack version first, you can see they've made some changes to certain things. Now the main thing is they've added a new tag for bees attractive, and this is all bees that they will pollinate from, or all flowers they'll pollinate from, and they've removed tall flowers. Now they've also removed the item tag of flowers and tall flowers, so if you have data packs using these, they'll no longer work unless you add your own. Now there are also some changes to components, but they only seem like changes. They don't seem like anything too big. So we have custom model data, and we also have set custom model data with some new fields and some changed fields. But resource pack is where the majority of this week's snapshot focuses on, because you can see there is a lot to do with item models, and this is now explaining where item models are pulled from. So item models are selected based on the item model component, and you can see a little bit more about it right here. So if we keep scrolling, you can see they just explain like certain items and how the model is gotten for that item. So grass, you can see it has a temperature and a downfall, fireworks, potions, map color, and it keeps going. Now it goes for quite some time. There's not really many, but these can all be used. So for example, the trident, it renders a trident. And decorated pot renders a decorated pot. This has values for the pot decorations, so the shards. And you can see if I keep scrolling down, there is a lot of them. There's also an Xmas one. Okay, that's cool. There's a new one for Xmas, which returns true if the date is set for the December 24th to December 26th. So if you want to have a custom Easter egg within your data pack or resource pack, where it will change texture around Christmas time, that is now something you can do. But just keep going. You can see there is a lot of them, and I'm not going to cover them all just because we'll be here all day if I do. And they keep going for quite some time until we then bump into bug fixes, which once again there are quite a few of them as well. Now I will have the patch notes linked in the description if you do want to read all of this in more detail, but it's basically just a lot of things to do with item models, which is the model that renders an item in your hand or in an item frame and things like that. Now before we jump to some important bug fixes, I do just want to show you the Be Attractive tag. So this is a tag of all the blocks bees can now pollinate from. Before it was just done through, I think, the flowers tag, but they now have their own tag, so you can add to this if you want. And you can see a list of all the flowers here. So some bug fixes that I'm going to quickly just mention to do with the creaking to begin with. So firstly, if the creaking was hit with a wind charge, the creaking would be knocked back, and this meant you could do it also if it wasn't moving. Now you can see it's completely immune to knockback. And the second thing here is that if you was to splash a creaking with a invisibility potion, its eyes would also go invisible. And that seems like it's still the case. Now there's a lot of bugs to do with item models, which obviously have been fixed with the whole new item model system inside of resource packs. There was also a bug where if the eye blossoms were to open or close, they would invert the subtitle. So when they would close, it would show the opening subtitle, and vice versa. That has also been fixed. But that is it for this snapshot. It's a very small one, focusing more on mobs picking up items as well as resource packs and item models. We will probably see more winter drop changes in a few weeks' time, because it does take some time for them to listen to feedback and then adjust to the feedback. So just because we saw nothing in this update doesn't mean that they're not making any more changes. But anyway, if you enjoyed, do like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.